Welcome to the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host with the most. My name is Michael Marcanio, and I'm here with my boys from the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. We got on the right Anthony Ravelis. He suffered a bicycle accident. He's got a gnarly. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can go check it out. He's got some gnarly road rash if you're interested in something like that. Also, I'm here with my boy, your boy T. This is Tyler Ravelis. My boy T. It's your boy T as well.
It's our boy T.
It's our boy T. Tyler Ravelis.
You should get your license plate to that, your boy T.
Yeah, it's better than your dumb license plate now.
Whoa,
chill. So today's episode is episode 35 of the Average Fantasy Football Podcast. We're talking AFC West. We're continuing our division breakdowns. We're going over the Chiefs. We're going over the Chargers. We're going over the Broncos. We're going over the Raiders. Anyone who's fantasy relevant in our eyes for these teams, you will hear about. And we'll let you know who we don't think will be fantasy relevant if their name happens to pop up. But before we get into that, just to let you know, if you want easy navigation through all of our podcasts, I always put a table of contents within the description, and so you can just skip through the episode as you wish. Makes it really easy. If you don't have time for an entire podcast, you can just nitpick the information. Say you just want to hear about the Broncos. You're curious about the backfield and how we think about that. You can go and skip to when we're talking about Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsey, and that'll be all listed down below. Very useful tool when doing fantasy research. So yeah, let's go ahead and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Like this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the Apple Podcast app or whatever podcast app you're using, go ahead and scroll down and leave us a rating and review. Every single time you guys do that, it really helps us in the podcast world, boosts us up, especially in the fantasy world. And so yeah, that's very, very helpful. Also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. All these links can be found down below in our description. And if you need any fantasy advice, you can hit us up on Instagram, Twitter. Shoot us a DM. We got your back. All right?
Yeah, dude. And if you're like specifically listening to this and you DM me specifically and we're like, oh, hey, I love the podcast. You helped me win my league the last couple of years. You better go leave a goddamn comment on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Better leave a goddamn comment.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. But yeah, let's get into it.
I love getting into it.
Get into it. Get
jiggy with it.
You want to throw that intro off?
Dude, no.
I
was waiting for it.
Very good at it.
Fuck it, send it in.
I can usually hear it in Dre's headphones, though.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into it here. Sorry, behind. Oh,
dude.
I'm
tech
back.
Guy over here.
I screwed up on our templates here. Hold on. For audio listeners.
These are the guys we're going to go through.
Yeah. And that's on me, dude. And you know
Dude,
what?
False start, dude.
Pimps fuck up, all right?
False start.
Pimps do fuck up.
Pimps do.
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
Whoops.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about AFC West. We're going to go over the Chiefs first. We got Patrick Mahomes signs a $500 million deal?
Yeah, and then he bought part of the Kansas City Royals, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
He's
Now
part
he's
owner now.
Now he's worth more than $500 million.
The crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Pat Mahomes. I feel like it's very
self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's either your QB1 or your QB2. It's pretty. I don't think you're putting him at 3.
Pretty much, yeah.
Dude, you got a shoulder rash.
I mean, he's he's gonna go in the first or second round in a lot of these like drafts. So we always preach on like waiting on quarterback. But I mean, if you want to go get him, like at the end of the day, we always say fantasy football is all about like having fun, and if that's your guy, and you want to get him, I mean, obviously you're gonna have to pay a premium price tag to get it. One thing I can say is I know we do a league, me and Anthony, where passing touchdowns are 6 and you get 5 points every 100 yards instead of 4 points. So kind of like it juicens up the quarterbacks a little bit more than like in the standard leagues you'll play where the quarterbacks only get 4 points per passing touchdown. So if you're in a league like that, then it's almost a little bit of an incentive to maybe reach for them if you want to right there, because they're going to put up some crazy numbers like 40, 50 points. But even then, I'm still probably waiting. I want to grab one of those like top tier running backs if I can in the first round.
Yeah, and I mean, if you play in any kind of bonus leagues too, or 300-yard bonuses, or 40, 50-yard touchdown bonus, I mean, he's the quarterback one hands down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like you said. I always say, I'm like, go get your quarterbacks if that's how you like to play. Like, but I would still say second round pick. I wouldn't jump into the first round and go grab them. There's still too much value at running back and too much value at receivers still there to take him in the top 12. So if you got like, I mean, where I'm okay with it, I wouldn't do it personally, but I'd say middle second round. If you pick and you get like, let's just say you get one of the top 5 running backs and you're coming back in the second round and Lamar went and you want to get quarterback, that's where I'm okay if you want to do it because he could throw 40, 50 touchdowns and kind of win your league.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that's where I'm okay with it. I wouldn't do it specifically. Where I would personally do it, maybe I'd be thinking about it in the middle to late third round. If he was still there, like if I was playing in like some type of expert league or something like that, that's where I'd consider it personally. But
if he was to fall and it was just like a good
yeah,
value.
that'd be like my own. But like you said, we play more late quarterbacks or at least later round quarterbacks, like 7th, 8th. Maybe we start attacking. Attack.
Attack. Okay, well, speaking of attacking, they went and attacked this draft, am I right? Went and grabbed Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Dude, he looks just like my boxing gloves.
So obviously Damien Williams opted out. Actually, there might have been a Las Vegas sighting.
I may or may not work at a nightclub, and I may or may not have seen Damien Williams last night.
Allegedly.
At this nightclub.
Allegedly. But so with Damien Williams out, really pushes Clyde Edwards-Helaire up a little boost in the fantasy world.
I mean, a lot of boost.
I mean, he was pretty much going in the second round, I feel like, even with Damien Williams there. I think now without Damien Williams, it's going to be hard to not want to take him in the first round. I mean, we saw Kareem Hunt come in as a rookie. He just lit up the league. I mean, this guy's explosive. Like, one of my favorite running backs, when we were breaking down the rookies coming into the draft, just one of my favorite running backs, just, 3-down back. He can do it all. Not the biggest guy, but he could do it all. He could run, he could catch. Super shifty, super, sneaky and, agile. I think he's going to slide right into this offense, especially because you can't stack the box. I mean, you got Tyreek, you got Kelsey, you got Nicole Hardman, even Sami Watkins. Even though he's a bum, you got these guys just stretching the field. So I think it'd be hard to not rank him in the top 10. I mean, do you have him in the top 10 now?
Yeah, I mean, he's in my top 10. I'm still trying to figure out appropriately where to put him. I'm having because before the trade, to me, it's like there were some question marks with him. Like he did lack some burst, some ability to get to the edge. They did lose, I know, an offensive lineman and I think maybe 2 offensive linemen. I know they had one to COVID, but I think they lost another one to free agency. I could be wrong on that, but I think I'm remembering that right. So I kind of had my little skepticisms that he was going to straight out win the job week 1. My other part of it was I didn't know if he was going to be the goal line back, kind of just given his lack of ability to kind of push piles. And, he is kind of smaller stature. But right now it's like, I mean, I'm trying to see if I can create some roles for DeAndre Washington or Darwin Thompson, who are both kind of the scat back or receiving back type of guys. So it's it's hard to envision him not getting the goal line work with the backs they have there right now.
Yeah. You're not worried about the Clown Slaughter's guy, Darwin Thompson?
No, I'm not worried about him. I mean, like I said, could he have some type of a role in the offense? Yeah, I think so, potentially.
You want to talk about not being big. Darwin Thompson's not very big at all.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's like I don't think he's taking the role away from it. There's the backs behind him aren't threatening his goal line work.
For sure. Yeah.
Versus where when Damien Williams was there, like I said, I was a little bit worried. Like I said, I saw some question marks potentially that could have led to maybe some early season struggles or not winning the role right away, like the explosiveness, getting to the S. I saw some things, so I'm like, that's all I'm saying. But with one of the best offenses in the league, and if not the best offense, I'm assuming he's getting the goal line work. Could be 50. It's hard. He could sneak into my top 6.
Yeah,
I think there's still some chance to bring someone else in or. Like I said, some of the red flags I saw could bring themselves to fruition, and maybe he's in a little bit more of a timeshare to start the season due to some efficiency metrics. So I'd still probably take a lot of those first 4 or 5 guys, but he's kind of creeping into that range of 6, 5, 6, 7 for me.
I'm kind of curious if they do go out and get someone in free agency, because I'm not sure if those guys they have, they're too comfortable with them. I'm not sure if you know this, the answer or not, but if you opt out, can you week 4, week 5, can you do all right, I changed my mind, I'm going to come back? Or is it just no, you opted out, now you cannot come back in?
Let me see what Google says about that. I don't know. I haven't actually heard anything or read anything about that. It's a good question to ask.
Just something interesting, yeah. But yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, guy's a savage.
I'll look it up real quick while you guys are.
Yeah. Are you taking him over the top, the main 4 or 5 backs, or you're kind of still?
Probably not. I think I'm going to have him in my top 8. That's just like off the top of my head thinking, but
Like
I mean,
MySpace?
you're still gonna have like the big. Yeah, he's on my MySpace top
My
8
MySpace.
for sure. Yeah, but I think it'll be hard to push him outside of that, just because he's tied to such a high-powered offense. Where, I mean, you got to imagine they're gonna be scoring 4 or 5 touchdowns a game. So just that upside that he can be in. And then, like I said, there's no more Damien Williams. I mean, there's no more Damien Williams. So
And then, I mean, you look at the guys around him, 7, 8, 9, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs. Those could all be bottom 15 offenses.
yeah,
Easily. Not easily, excuse me. But they could all be bottom 15 offenses versus that could be the number one offense.
it's not gonna be the Chiefs' offense.
Yeah, let's put it that way. I mean, safe pick.
Yeah.
All right, we can move on to the next one here. We're going to go over to receivers, talk about the main man, Tyreek Hill. I feel like a lot of these Chiefs players might be a little bit self-explanatory, but what are thoughts on Tyreek Hill here?
I mean, what do you feel?
I'm trying to pull up his game log. Go ahead.
I mean, it's Tyreek Hill. He's Mahomes number 1. Him and Kelsey, like 1A, 1B to me in a sense. He has that boom potential every single game. He could literally win you a game any given week. So I mean, he's gonna go I think he's gonna go in like the back end of the first round. Like right on that turn is where I feel like he's gonna go, and I feel like that's appropriate on him, depending on like if you have like that 10th, 11th pick or 12th pick, and you want to grab him, and then maybe grab a running back on the way around, you can potentially. But I think that's a good value for where he's going because he literally has the ability to win you any given week, and he's tied to Mahomes, who, like you said, if he throws for 40 plus touchdowns, you got to think he's gonna get 10
yeah,
at least.
Okay. Hey, by the way, I just found some. So it says they can't opt out after August 6th, which was last Thursday, but it doesn't. It says they can technically retire and then unretire. Oh, but you were asking if they can opt out.
I was just curious. I'm not sure.
Like if Damien Williams could come back.
Like week 5, he's just like, okay, like the coronavirus spikes have gone down. He's just kind of like, all right, like I feel like I want to come back now.
Yeah.
I've actually heard of players retiring, so maybe that's why they specifically retired. So maybe there is something to it, like you said, where it's like they, if you retire, you can unretire and come back. Because I was reading what Mike just put up versus like if you opt out, you might just be completely out for the season.
Just be out, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's kind of self-explanatory. He's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. The upside in every given week is week winning. If you get that combo somehow, Mahomes and Tyreek, and it hits in a week, that's pretty nasty. The point I was actually going to think about that I kind of didn't allude to for a second when I was talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Mahomes is, let's just say, like I said, some of the efficiency metrics are down with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in his rookie season. It's only going to lead to more passing, and if that does happen, I mean, you're going to see Mahomes and Tyreek Hill's numbers even be higher.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a lock to get like 1,500. I mean, if Mahomes is going to throw for 4,500, 5,000 yards, you got to think he's going to get 1,500.
Yeah, I'd say.
And then like you're looking at 8 to 10 touchdowns. I mean, like when you're tied to Mahomes like that, I mean, the upside is just. I mean, like he could lead the league in receiving yards. I wouldn't be surprised on it.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And he's, like I said, we talked about his bonus leagues too. I mean, he's one of those guys that gets just those 50. He's going to have at least 2 or 3 probably 50-yard touchdowns.
Oh yeah, in one game.
He nice.
He
fast.
For sure. We can go into the next receiver then.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
You're good.
We're going to Nicole Hardman. Mecole Hardman, baby.
Oh, dude, he's got me hard, man.
So he's going into his he's going into his sophomore year. We saw like a couple flashes of Mecole Hardman, but it didn't. It felt like you couldn't pick the right receiver every week in and week out with the Chiefs. What do you think about Mecole Hardman this year?
I'm trying to look up his ADP because he's someone who's interesting to me because I know we were just talking for a split second about how Sami Watkins just destroyed the world for the first game and then basically didn't do much shit after that.
The rest of
So, I mean, it's a sophomore season, so you got to assume there's some growth, but it's like I think he has some pretty decent upside. But at the same time, it's like to me, it's like as much as Sami Watkins was struggling last year, I know the guy was a rookie. He only had, I'm trying to pull up his targets right now. Give me 1 second, peoples. It kind of makes me worry, like, is his route tree limited just based off of only seeing 55 targets and being with the team all season long? Like, is he kind of more of like a one-trick pony and he can just go deep and do these play actions? And, yeah, he's useful to Mahomes and the team, but he's not necessarily a receiver they are going to be using on a 90% snap share. So So I'm trying to look up his ADP right now because I've been taking some shots on him. Some of the mock drafts we've done, I think I've got him in like the 10th, 11th, and I like that because if he overtakes Sammy Watkins for the number 2 wide receiver on the team and gets 90 to 100 targets, 90 to 100 targets with him aren't normal targets because they're Patrick Mahomes targets. So
they're juiced up targets.
Yeah, they're juiced up targets. So, I think if he sees 90 to 100 targets, he's probably going to be a top 30 receiver. He might even sneak into the top 24 if he has a couple long touchdowns. So, he's someone I kind of like taking a shot at. But like I said, I mean, Watkins is still there. Like I said, it's kind of like, okay, why was he only targeted so little? Mm-hmm. But he did so much with so little. It almost makes it seem like is he just more of like a one-trick pony? He can only do a certain amount of things in the field. So he's someone I'm okay with taking a 10th round or later flyer on. But I'm not drafting in my first 8-9 rounds. I just think it's too kind of hit or miss with him there.
Yeah, I like Nicole Hardman. I do think he kind of takes over for Sammy Watkins. I mean, Sammy Watkins was going to retire. He was pretty much going to call it quits, and then for whatever reason, I think he decided to run it back. He had to restructure his contract. Maybe he's just trying to get this back-to-back Super Bowl win, but maybe he's got to go save the lizard people on his planet. But I do like Mecole Hardman, and even if he doesn't get a ton of targets, you got to think he only had 41 last year. You got to think he's going to get more than that this year. But it's just he's an explosive player. I mean, averaged more than 20 yards per reception, had 6 touchdowns on only 26 receptions. So even if he only got you like 50 receptions, like the touchdown upside of his big playability is always there. I mean, some of these games were like one target, 1 reception, 60 yards and a touchdown. One target, 1 reception, 50 yards and a touchdown. So it's just crazy that he can at any given moment just take that one target to the house. So I think he's like a great like late round guy to grab. And like you said, if Anthony said, if Sammy Watkins is just a bum like he was, then yeah, you're gonna have a steal because the wide receiver 2 from Mahomes is better than the 1 on some teams, aka Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to look up his ADP.
I can pull it up.
I got Sammy Watkins. I think it was wide receiver 55. I'm trying to pull it up.
He's definitely going in like the 8th round or later.
Yeah,
I think he's getting some traction because there's some. I think they came out and said they want to get him more incorporated and like he could potentially be the number 2.
Yeah.
But then it's like I said, Sammy Watkins was about to retire, so I mean we could switch to the Sammy Watkins if you want.
8th round's too early for me. Like I said, I'm kind of on my grade on him would be 10th round or later because there is too much of a variance and there is still a lot of. You still got players like I'm looking right now, like the Ronald Jones in there, Julian Edelman, Will Fuller. So for me, I'd rather take those type of guys if it is in the 8th round. J.K. Dobbins. These are just some of the players in that range. There's still too many. Those are kind of somewhat certain players that I know they have a role versus where Mecole Hardman, he's going to be boom or bust. So to me, it's probably after round 10 where I'll take the shots.
It's like early 10th,
so
late
it's
9th.
Pretty much
But
where I'm okay taking the shots at.
It's bouncing all over the place. So
yeah. So that works for me. I fuck with it. Let's do it. Roll it.
He said,
I like it.
I like it.
So that was for Mecole Hardman.
Yeah.
But so for Sammy Watkins, how do you guys feel? Are you just hashtag dead to you? He's retired.
I mean,
I think it's like you want like Sammy Watkins like was good and he was like talented and like he's tied to this offense. Like you want to like make it happen, but it's like you just can't force it if it's not there. I mean, like we were just talking off air, like he had 198 yards and 3 touchdowns in week 1, and he didn't score a touchdown the rest of the year with Mahomes. I don't understand. How can you not score a touchdown the rest of the year with Patrick Mahomes? And he didn't top 80 yards after that 198. He didn't top 80 yards any other game after that. So that was just blows my mind. Where I think, and that's kind of why I feel like Mecole Hardman can maybe take that sophomore leap and kind of take over as the number 2 or just get a little more acclimated into the offense.
I think it's not a bad move, seeing as though Sammy Watkins is only his ADP is I think 1 round or 2 rounds behind Mecole Hardman. It's like you might as well get the younger guy who has more longevity. Who I would rather go Mecole Hardman if I'm going for one of these obscure Chiefs receivers.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like in real draft because I know there's ADP. I'm trying to think of who would actually go first in real drafts. I feel like it might be half and half.
Yeah,
I feel like some people don't know the name of Mecole Hardman too much.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know the name of Sammy Watkins. So it's like in the real drafts they might go. I mean, to try and look at like the positives and the narratives of like where things can go right. I mean, he did see 90 targets last year, and it was I want to say that's got to be a floor of efficiency. You know, 52 catches, 673 and 3 touchdowns. You know, that could have just been misconnections. Maybe, you know, I didn't watch every play, but maybe there was just some passes where Mahomes missed him or whatever happened in the end zone. But, I mean, if he sees 90 to 100 targets roughly again and he gets 6 or 7 touchdowns, he's going to be a useful piece, especially if you're getting him in the 12th round. It is hard to see, like, a true upside, though, because even when Tyreek Hill was down for those few games, he didn't, like, dominate. And that's, like, the kind of upsetting part if you're trying to, like, make a case for Sami Watkins having that role as the wide receiver 2 on this team is, you know, he wasn't able to dominate while Tyreek Hill was out for those, what was it, like 4 games he missed or something like that, 3 games? So, yeah, there's definitely a case where Nicole Hardman can overtake him. But to Mike's point, if I'm taking the shot, I'm going to take it on Mecole because it's, you know, I think you've kind of seen more than likely what you're going to get out of Watkins. If he efficiency-wise goes up next year, I think he'll be a useful piece. But he could also lose some targets to Nicole Hardman this year. And that'd be very hard, man. You don't want that.
Well, let's move on to tight end.
I almost pulled a Dre. My throat was getting...
Dude, Dre's throat on this podcast is crazy. I just want to, like, judo chop him in the throat. All right, we got Travis Kelce. You know, some people were drafting Travis Kelce in the first round, and I almost wasn't really mad at it last year. You did it.
I did do it. I picked him at the 11th pick in a draft. Full point PPR. So I took him.
Yeah. So, you know, are you just as hyped on Travis Kelce this year? Do you think he finishes tight end 1? What do you think about Minnie Gronk, as they used to call him?
I mean, I was just, you know, I think the stats I had were, you know, like his receptions, you know, like 90 plus. I don't have them off the top of my head. I think like 90 plus or something like that. And then the yardage of, you know, 1,200 plus yards. I mean, those are wide receiver 1 numbers there. So it's like if you're taking some of these, you know, wide receiver 1s in the back end of the first round, why not take a guy like Kelce? I was justifying it because I thought he potentially could have had 10 to 12 touchdowns. You know, the touchdown upside was pretty high. I know the touchdowns actually took a dip last year, which was crazy, but I think that'll bounce back, the regression back to the mean in a sense. But, you know, at the end of the day, he is like one of the safest tight ends. I mean, he only had a 6% bust rate, so, you know, just a safe floor any given week. Like, he wasn't putting up crazy stats, but in the PPR league, full point PPR, he was giving me like 15 points every single week. So it's not sexy, but, you know, he wasn't hurting me or losing my games at all. I don't know if I'd take him in the first round again this year, but in that back end, you know, the second round, like, I think he's still a top 20 pick to me because, you know, at the end of the day, he's tied to Mahomes. Yeah, and I think the touchdown upside is just crazy with him.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to. So when you draft Kelce, you don't have to worry about, who do I got to pick up this week to start a tight end? You're starting Kelce every week. And to the point, I mean, like, we've talked about it multiple times. I mean, if you get a stud running back in the first round and you want to go Kelce in the second, you know, I don't hate it because I think there is a lot of wide receiver depth this year in the rounds of 3, 4, 5, even 6. So, I mean, you can go, you know, running back, Kelce, running back in the third round, and then you can just target receiver heavy after that. And you have 2 running backs, I mean, a solid tight end. And you can potentially get, you know, 3, maybe 4 solid wide receivers. Some of my top 12 guys are going in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. So it's like, it's to me, I don't mind the strategy. To me, I probably won't take Kelce because I'll probably target someone else in that second round. If I'm going to go tight end, I'm probably going to target George Kittle because I actually am back and forth between putting him at my number 1.
Yeah, Kittle's a savage.
Yeah, he's actually said he's kind of like, I actually kind of have him like at 1. Let's see if when push comes to shove, when it's like the final rankings.
Like a 1A, 1B right now.
Yeah, so it's like if I'm going to go after 1A, 1B, I'd rather target the guy I can get probably almost a round later. Maybe I can get Kittle in the 3rd round if I'm going to go after the tight end. I can grab another, I can grab another running back or receiver there and go after Kittle in the 3rd round if I want to target one of those premium elite tight ends. Yeah. So that's my personal strategy.
I like that strategy though because you are right. The wide receiver depth is kind of insane. So it is nice to have that tight end position, like you have that locked down and you don't have to worry about streaming, especially if you're in a lot of leagues, which is
yeah, that's
what
why
we do.
That's why I did it because I feel like, you know, some weeks you're like, man, like I'm so nice, but my tight end position, it's like you're starting, you know, guys that are, you know, they're not getting you any points. They're almost like costing you, you know. So that's why I was kind of like, you know, I took a shot on it. It had a pretty good team last year in that league, so I like Travis Kelce.
Or you can do what we did last year and like, I'll wait and just grab OJ Howard.
Yeah.
Wow,
That worked
wow,
out.
wow.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Why
dun.
is everyone so fucking
That's when you take
stupid?
like one person in most of your leagues and then they fucking don't work out. It's so great.
That was terrible. Sorry, guys, if you listen to us
Beard
on
of
that one.
Zeus. I think
Okay.
Travis Kelce calls his wife. He's like, "Woman, I am Zeus. Get over here."
I will give you the hammer now. All right, let's move on to the Los Angeles Chargers. They're gonna be on
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks.
When's it supposed to start?
It should be starting soon. I feel like
Maybe it's starting right now.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure they've been filming it. But obviously we don't have Felipe Rios, also known as Phillip Rivers, at quarterback. So we got Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. Are you taking fantasy shots on Tyrod Taylor in a double quarterback league or in any league, on Mars, on Venus? Where are you taking shots on Tyrod Taylor?
I mean, a double quarterback league, I don't mind it. He's always been I want to say top 15 type of cuss just due to the rushing ability.
Yeah.
There's more quarterbacks who are kind of running the ball now. A lot of these younger guys or newly drafted guys are using their legs. So I think that could be not as safe as he still has a safe floor, but it might not be as high as it was. But in a dual quarterback meet, I don't mind him. I think he's got a safe floor, and if you're taking him as your second or even target him as your third, because you know that he might not play the full season. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to gauge it because I don't know how many games he starts, especially if they struggle. When do they start? Call him for Justin Herbert to get in there. Because this defense is going to be pretty good. So the Chargers should be, a playoff contender in the league this year. But, I was just looking at it, he's got no touchdown upside. Since 2015, he has 33 out of his 46 games where he's thrown one or less touchdowns. So it's just he's not even getting you 2 touchdowns. He's barely throwing for 1 touchdown in the majority of these games. The only thing that really helps, like Anthony says, is his rushing upside. The years that he did play like a full 16 or a full season, he pretty much got you 500 rushing yards and like 4 to 6 touchdowns. So those rushing yards and those touchdowns are valuable for him, especially for a guy who's not really thrown over 3,000 yards. He's just like a guy I'm not really interested in.
Yeah.
He's a streamer like in redrafts. He's a streamer type of quarterback where you're picking him up and
when they're playing certain teams.
Yeah, playing certain teams.
Bears or something. But, okay, we can move on to the
Do you think he starts the whole year, or do you think there's a time where they
no.
pull him and they throw in Herbert?
I think they're going to get excited to put Herbert in.
What was it? 2 years ago, he was the Browns starter, and after 4 games, they pulled the plug and they threw in Baker. Do you think that's a good range of possibly?
Well, they started 0-4, I think, too, so that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
The Chargers' schedule goes the Bengals, which that could easily be a win. Chiefs, Panthers. They could start 2-1. They play the Bucs week 4. We don't know how the Bucs are going to be. So if they start 3-1, which is say hypothetically,
You don't fix it if it's not broken.
yeah, you're at 3-1. You're sitting at a playoff team to start the year.
Yeah.
And then they go Saints, which is a tough one. But then they go Jets, Dolphins, Jaguars, Raiders, Broncos. That's a stretch where if he's not gone by week 5, he might be there for a good chunk if they get hot playing. Because these are teams that are all beatable: the Jets, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, Raiders, and Broncos.
Well, chill, fam. The Dolphins.
We do pretty against the Chargers, but I'm just saying hypothetically, it might not be as soon as we think potentially. It could also start off where they lose to the Bengals. Joe Burrow comes out and just fucking skull fucks them, and then the Chiefs go out and just smack them, and then the Panthers. That might be tough for the Panthers to win, but and then they play the Bucs and Saints, so they could be 1-4 at the same time. So you could see him maybe pulled by week 5.
Definitely depends on.
For me, it's like if you buy any of the wide receivers, I want him gone as soon as possible.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like the running back's the one situation where I'm like, I don't know. It's like
it's hard to really just going through this. I even think Austin Eckler's a little hard.
Do you want to move
really
on to
break
Austin?
down.
yeah, we can move on. That was kind of trying to.
Yeah.
But the receivers for sure, we'll touch on them when we get there. But it is hard because at the end of the day, they're all tied to Tyrod Taylor. So it's like if you don't think he's going to do a ton or has a ton of upside, then it kind of limits what these receivers can do in a sense. But so Austin Eckler came out of nowhere last year, finished as the RB4 in PPR, RB6.5 point PPR. Just some crazy stats that I saw. I didn't realize until I was looking at him, but he had the second most targets and receptions for running backs, the second most receiving yards. He almost had 1,000 receiving yards. That's crazy.
Yeah.
993. And he had the most receiving touchdowns for running backs right there. I think there's something I saw, like 74% of his fantasy points came off the receiving game. So are you worried now with Tyrod that those will go down? Because he only had 132 carries. I do think that, Justin Jackson will be a little bit involved. We'll touch on him next. But are you a little worried that the receiving upside could potentially go down? Or
I mean, I do think it goes down in general. Tyrod's, you have Phillip Rivers, someone who's throwing 38 times a game. Tyrod Taylor, someone who's throwing 27 times a game. So roughly on average throughout his career is about 10. I'm taking last year's Phillip Rivers, so you're losing about roughly 10 passes per game. So, I mean, that has to come down if you just break up the way the pie distribution goes and try and look at it. So I do think they're going to come down. The other part of it, though, is he's probably the hardest running back for me to rank because I was actually really tough on him in the beginning, and I had him, I think, way too low. I was like, all right, I'm being way too low on Eckler. They did pay him a good amount of money. So I kind of think he's going to – the receptions are going to go down, but the attempts are going to go up. But the receptions are more valuable than the attempts. Yeah. So, I kind of got him pegged for like 60 to 70 receptions, kind of closer to 180 to 200 yard attempts. So, that's not bad volume-wise. We don't know what's going to happen when Justin Herbert comes in. I mean, he could lean on Eckler a lot. Yeah. And they don't just use Eckler. The reason he had 92 receptions on 100, what was the targets?
132.
The reason that he had that many targets is because
108 targets, my bad.
Yeah, the reason he had that many targets is because they don't just swing pass, go out and catch it. They use him in different ways. They put him in the slot. They put him outside. So he's like a receiver type of running back. And then they could still use Justin Jackson, have Eckler out doing his thing on the it's the same coaching staff there still too. So they're going to use him the same way. So like I said, while I think the receptions come down some, I think the attempts go up. So it's kind of trying to find the happy medium of that. And only 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground this year. So if he's the goal line back, which I don't know if he is, that kind of just ups his ceiling. If he's not the goal line back, then that's a little bit worrisome because I don't think he's getting 8 reception touchdowns again. As a running back, it's very hard to do, even with 80, 90 receptions. I don't think McCaffrey or even Kamara's ever hit 8.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that off my head, but I don't think they've hit 8 in a season, McCaffrey or Kamara, so that's a lot to hit.
Yeah. So, like I said, he's one of the harder guys to really gauge on. He had 224 touches last year total. That was only 24th in most in the league, though, so he's not getting like a crazy workload, but he did make the most out of what he got. But even though he had 224 touches, Melvin Gordon still had 204. So it was like a true running back by committee. I was looking at the snap count, actually, when Gordon actually played. He only played 12 games, but it was literally 50-50. It was 49% Eckler, 51% Melvin Gordon. So I guess not literally 50-50. That was 49-51, but...
but there's also games where Eckler played more than him.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just curious now. It's like, I don't think they just give Eckler all this huge workload. That's why I was thinking like Justin Jackson could definitely have some value going forward. Just another status that was pretty crazy. 134 receptions between the two of them. Melvin Gordon still had 42 receptions alone himself. And that's a lot of receptions to just go to the running back position. So I think Eckler's obviously the PPR value is where you really like it, even half-point PPR. But I think he'll still, maybe not 92, maybe not 1,000 receiving yards, but I think he does have a high floor for these receptions and receiving yards, which will help boost him. And then, like I said, if he can just get, instead of 132 carries, if he can get, 180, like you said, give or take, I think that'll just kind of boost him right there. I want to put him at, like, number 12 right now because I feel like he's on that cusp, 11, 12.
I was going to say 10, but...
Yeah. I think he's there, and like you said, and it's got to speak volume. I'm one of those guys where I feel like if you trade for someone or you pay money, that's just the way I feel. That means something. Obviously Melvin Gordon was holding out. They let him go. They paid him 4 years. Eckler paid Eckler 4 years, $24 million. He's getting $15 million guaranteed. Melvin Gordon's only making $16 million, and that all in Denver, and all that's not even guaranteed. So it's like for whatever reason they decided, hey, Eckler's more valuable to us than Melvin Gordon. So that has to just speak volume in some sense to me.
Yeah. I got it interesting, just because I know you're low on this guy, and they're kind of similar in ADP, Aaron Jones or Austin Eckler?
Austin Eckler.
That one's tough.
I like
if it's
Eckler
full-point
way more than
PPR,
Jones.
I might go Austin Eckler. Half-point PPR, I might go Aaron Jones.
Oh, Gross.
Yeah, I'd go Aaron Jones in both formats. He's going to
Really?
still get 200 carries, even with the – and then his receiving, he's still going to get 40, 50 receptions, and he's one of the best.
I'm just not an Aaron Jones guy.
But that's why I figured I'd bring it up, because it's like I know you're kind of low on him specifically, and just looking at ADP, but you mean the volume of Aaron Jones is going to be there, and the goal line volume is going to be there for sure.
Who are the receivers right there? Because I'm taking a receiver.
Yeah, would you go Austin Eckler or let's see, I'm trying to think of some. Right here you have Todd Gurley and Leonard Fournette.
I'm going Eckler.
Yeah, I'm
full point PPR. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm doing that the same.
Eckler over Fournette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Eckler over Gurley too.
Yeah, I'd go Eckler.
I would go Eckler over Gurley. I had a hard time over Fournette, but I would still do it.
Yeah. All right. I was just bringing up some kind of questions.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Because I said he's one of the guys we're kind of.
It's tough to gauge him, I think.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think he gets a full workload. He's not going to get 70% of the snaps. Obviously, like I said, when Melvin Gordon was there, it was 50-50. So that's why I think that Justin Jackson could potentially have some value. I know they went out and they drafted a rookie as well. And the draft, I think it was from UCLA. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But I do think Justin Jackson is going to get involved, to some degree. I mean, he didn't, not a huge sample size, but, 29 rushes last year for 6.8 yards per carry. So it wasn't like he was a total bum. He wasn't a Kalen Ballage just running in the back of the defenders.
I think he's actually, for a backup running back, he's pretty talented, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're, like, in the few glimpses I saw him, I liked what I saw. I kind of made the case for him over Austin Eckler a little bit because you could get him. You could get him like 8 rounds later than Eckler, because I think Eckler was going in the 3rd or 4th round last year.
Yeah.
But obviously you won if you backed up with Eckler. But yeah, I think you're right, Tyler, with Justin Jackson.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to get 30 receptions and 140 carries, 120, maybe 100, 140.
He could be the goal line guy too.
Yeah, that's the other part. He could be the goal line back. We don't know if Eckler's going to be the goal line back yet, or even the ugly side of it is if the rookie's the goal line back out of the 3 of these, and it becomes a 3-man committee. That kind of just takes the floor down on all of them. So
he definitely needs to be drafted, though. I think he's a name that not a lot of people are aware of, But I think he's a guy, he needs to be drafted in like every single league. I
think he's a pretty high upside too to the whole COVID situation, where he's like a higher upside type of handcuff, you could say, because if anything happens to Eckler as far as injuries or as far as COVID goes, he's going to step in and be the starter there or get majority of the workload. So he has that, and we know he's the 2, or at least I think we know. We'll find out week 1 for sure, but or in Hard Knocks we'll find out.
Truly. All right, we can we just want to touch on Justin Jackson briefly, but we can move on to Keenan Allen. We did a little My Guy segment last week, which is apparently a segment that everybody does, but Dre picked him as his guy. Keenan Allen, wide receiver for the Chargers.
So I wish Dre was here.
I was like, I can't pick on Dre.
Kind of like chime in on it, because I know he was looking at all these numbers for Keenan Allen. He's had 97 or more receptions 3 straight years, 136 or more targets, pretty much averaging 1,200 or more yards every single year. He'll get you 6 touchdowns. Like, those numbers are nice, but it's like that was what Phillip Rivers. Now we're getting Tyrod Taylor. Like we just said, the piece of the pie is going to be so small now compared to what it was before, and we're not sure what to expect from Tyrod Taylor, or even if Justin Herbert comes in. So he's one of those guys where it's like he's super talented. Obviously, the guy's probably one of the best route runners, if not the best route runner in the entire league. But at the end of the day, it comes back to like who's throwing him the football. Like, how are you gauging him?
I'm not touching him all this year. Like I said, it's not Keenan Allen, it's not the talent. Like I said, I did a distribution of like where. I think what I did is I went to 28 targets. I gave the receivers, I forget what percentage, but it averaged out to like 16. So you're giving the running backs and tight ends 12, which is not good for Hunter Henry or Austin Eckler if that's the case.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler might be fine with that, but 16 to the receivers. So you're saying like, even if you uninvolve all the other receivers, basically say there's no other receivers between him and Mike Williams, hypothetically, he'd have to get 10. And Mike Williams would have to get 6 of those targets to kind of be close to where he's been, or 9 and then 7, which I don't think that's happening. So that pace is just not going to replicate. Like I said, I wish Dre was here, but I'm sorry, it's not happening. You're losing over 100 pass attempts with this quarterback. The inconsistency from game to game could be worrisome because he's never been a high touchdown guy. And like you alluded to, Tyrod Taylor's, I think he's never thrown more than 20.
20 touchdowns.
20 is it 20 touchdowns?
I think it was 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's 20 touchdowns. So now the touchdown upside is taken away. The target volume is taken away. We don't know what's going to happen when Justin Herbert comes in, or if and when he comes in. So I'm staying clear of all Chargers receivers until Justin Herbert comes in. I might possibly try and make a trade for one of them if they start slow. Maybe Mike Williams gets off to a slow start, and I see that Justin Herbert's going to come in. I know it's week 3. Maybe I target Mike Williams in a trade in that situation, knowing that he could get back to some more fantasy relevance for Keenan Allen. Maybe he starts off slow to start the year. So that's where I'm going with these guys. But to start the season, I'm not touching them, because if Tyrod comes out and the defense comes out and shuts the Bengals down, and the rookie with Joe Burrow, and they're kind of running the ball a lot, and they throw the ball 24 times, 25 times. I mean, you're not going to be happy with what you get out of the receiving game there. So, I'm not. I like Keenan Allen, but I'm not touching him this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think his days of the wide receiver one are kind of numbered for now, at least, until we see, if Herbert takes over eventually as the starter, and they keep Keenan Allen, potentially he could bounce back. But, it's just tough because it all comes back to Tyrod Taylor. Even the next guy, Mike Williams, I love him, but it's just tough. He has that Keenan Allen right now. He's going in the 4th, 5th round. I mean, but I feel like every time we do mock drafts, you're getting like OBJ, Robert Woods, even Juju. Some of these guys. I would feel 100 times more comfortable taking those guys with just the upside and the volume and the targets they're going to get compared to Keenan Allen. On a week-to-week basis, you just don't know. And then it's not even a high touchdown upside. He'll only get you like 6 touchdowns, Keenan Allen. Yeah,
I mean, I wonder who he would take over his 2 boys, Diggs or Allen. Who would you take? I think I'd go.
It's hard because you got Josh.
That's a tough one. That's what I was like. I wonder who he would take. Might have to text him right now. I think
I would almost.
I'm probably going Keenan Allen.
Yeah, just for the ADP, because I think it's lower than Diggs right now. Maybe.
Diggs is lower, but I'm saying they're within 3 receiver spots, so it's pretty close. Oh, fuck me. I think I'd
Allen or Diggs.
I think I'd go Allen. I'd go Allen.
Yeah. What are some of the names around him though?
Robert Woods. You have
100%. I'm taking Robert Woods.
You have the Seattle boys. That's Metcalf and Lockett.
Yeah.
For listeners, because they're like, "Who's the Seattle boys?"
Definitely probably taking Lockett. Metcalf, I guess. Yeah.
I would take
pretty high on Metcalf.
I like Metcalf.
I'd definitely take Lockett over him. Metcalf is one where I'd probably have to look at my team makeup, and it could be a decision based off of that. Some of the other guys, real quick, you got Cortland Sutton, and T.Y. Hilton.
I would take maybe Sutton, but I don't know about T.Y. Hilton.
I think I'd take him over Sutton, and I'd take T.Y. over him.
Yeah, I think I think I'm taking both those guys over him.
Really?
Yeah, I'm saying Sutton and T.Y. over. This is just off the top of my head, spitballing. But
yeah, just like quick.
The touchdown upside of Sutton. We'll touch on him next.
Those are close ones.
Yeah, those are gross. That's gross right there.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah. Yucky.
But yeah, so it's just tough with Keenan Allen. Don't look at what he did before. It's now the new quarterback and stuff like that. What's is going to affect this guy who? This is one of my boys right here.
This is your boy. So yeah, so you were talking about the receivers not getting as much love because Phillip Rivers isn't there anymore. So you love Mike Williams. So now does this change your opinion? Do you not love Mike Williams?
I still love Mike Williams. This guy he's just a freak, man. Look
at
how big he is. Yeah. That's my guy. He's my number one on my top 8 of MySpace. But no, you're just saying, you're taking Keenan Allen in the 4th or 5th round. I would much rather take a shot on Mike Williams. I think he's going in the 10th round right now. It's kind of hard. A lot of these ADPs had him all over the place. But the reason why I'll take a shot on Mike Williams is that he doesn't need a ton of targets to be productive. I mean, what was it, 2 years ago? He only had it was 40 receptions, but he had 10 touchdowns. So he has that touchdown upside. And then last year on 49 receptions, he topped 1,000 yards. And it was just a hashtag interesting stat. It says, since targets became an official stat in 1992, no wide receiver has topped 1,000 yards on less than 95 targets. And Mike Williams did it on just 90 targets. So it's he doesn't need a big workload. He doesn't need a ton of receptions to get it done. He has that big playability. I mean, he led the NFL in receiving yards. He led the NFL in yards per receptions at 20.4 yards per share, and only at a 16.5% target share. So like I said, he's not getting heavy targets, but he has the ability, like I said, to eclipse 1,000 yards, and then the touchdown upside is through the roof. The last 2 seasons, he's top 10 in terms of end zone targets. He had 12 last year, and then he had 12 before that. It's just kind of crazy how you can't predict these touchdowns sometimes. One of those years he had 10 touchdowns. The next year he only had 2 touchdowns. So I'll just take him, like I said, in the 10th round because I love the touchdown upside.
Yeah, everything you said, honestly.
I'm sorry, I had to juice him up as my guy.
No, it's. I mean, I don't know if I'll take him that early because I looked him up. He's going about the 9th. I still like some other guys better, but you basically laid out like what if it goes right, what's going to be. Why he'll be successful for your fantasy team at that point, because he doesn't need a lot of targets. He can go out and get 6 targets from Tyrod Taylor, but Tyrod Taylor targets him deep twice. He gets 3 for 75 and a touchdown that week. So I think he's more of a standard guy with Tyrod Taylor specifically.
Yeah.
Like you said, he pointed out the touchdown, all the big playability. So for me, I'm a little bit more higher on him in standard than PPR or half. But I don't mind taking the chance on him too. He's kind of someone I kind of wonder what Dre spending on Dynasty would be with him, because I think this is a year where you might be able to get him cheap.
Yeah.
Midway through the year.
I was gonna say, go get him on the low if you can. I mean, the guy's. I wouldn't say he's a bust. I know he was like a 5th or 6th overall pick, something like that. So I wouldn't chalk him up as a bust. But like if he went to another team or. I don't even know.
He could Devontae Parker, where it takes some time for
the guy is just he literally is a physical freak. He's just like remember like Calvin Johnson, like they call him Megatron because he's like so much bigger than everybody out there. Like that's Mike Williams. He's just like so much bigger than everybody.
It was funny.
He's Willytron.
I was listening to AJ Brown on a podcast, and he compared DK Metcalf to Calvin Johnson, and I was like. And everybody on the bus was like, whoa, that's what you think about DK, huh? But, yeah, I think it's more accurate towards Mike, I guess.
If I could be like Mike.
What do you think, Mike? I feel like I kind of swayed you into taking Mike Williams in a couple leagues last year.
I almost did it just to kind of fuck you over, but.
Look at that catch right there. Then you wouldn't trade him to me, and you're just sitting on your bench the whole year.
Yeah, because my team was so good.
That's what I do. Let me mute
it's called strategy.
How do I mute you?
You got to know when to hold and when to fold them. Anything else on Mike Williams? Or
no, we can move on to the next one here. We got Hunter Henry. How do you feel? I think we talked about him early in the offseason. I don't know if your opinions have changed. I think Tyler was a fan. Negative. That was incorrect. Apologize.
I think Dre was a fan.
That's what it was. Dre was a fan.
I think Dre was a fan.
And you guys made fun of him. Is that right?
I feel like this is an episode where we're talking shit to Dre a lot, but he's not here.
We're just waiting for when he can't.
The testosterone high today.
Dude, the testosterone is high today. We just wait until he can't defend himself.
I know.
He'll listen to this later and be pissed.
Dude, and I'll be like, yeah, but when Hunter Henry was like 6 years old, bro, he caught like 3 touchdowns in one Pop Warner game.
You're like, dude, they were state champs. Wait, his high school team? No. Pop Warner, bro. Okay, yeah.
It's like almost like Tyler was saying with the C. Adam Gase thing with this. It's like C. Tyrod Taylor, and it's just like I'm not excited for much of the pass catcher options with this. I will say that there was a point where I know when Tyrod Taylor was in Buffalo that he did kind of lean on Charles Clay and kind of did target him a lot. Yeah. He could be his go-to red zone option potentially. Like we don't know yet. But given the passing volume of the team and the uncertainty of what Tyrod Taylor or what's his name, Justin Herbert, I mean, when he's going at tight end 7, and I don't think he's going to push 90, 100 targets. That's too high.
He's tight end 7 right now.
Yeah, that's too high for me. Like,
yeah,
at least Evan Ingram I know can push 90 to 100 targets. Darren Waller, the Gronk can bonk. Potentially, like I said, I'm not, but whatever. Jared Cook has some big touchdown upside. You get into the Hooper and Higbees and the Fant, these Hurst, and Gesicki as well. These guys could push 90 to 100 targets. With the passing volume, I think it's going to have to be an injury to. It's just I think the upside's capped this year, and the tight end 7, it's like I just don't like that price.
I think his price is too high, but I think the reason why he's kind of up there is because a lot of. We've made the case as like a little bit inexperienced quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks or quarterbacks who aren't really like deeper threats, which Tyrod Taylor, obviously we just talked about, he doesn't throw for over 3,000 yards, and you know what I mean? So he's the kind of quarterback that would have to kind of rely on the tight end, But even that being said, though, you guys are right. There's other tight ends that I would rather target that are valued lower and ADP wise. I'd rather go. What's Noah Fant's?
12.
Yeah, I'd rather grab Noah Fant.
I mean, you got Dallas Goedert like 16 who might see more targets.
Yeah, and so there's just other guys at the tight end position that are more valuable, and they're being evaluated at a lesser value.
Yeah, I mean, if he was going more around tight end 10 to 12, that's where I'd be okay with it because he does have some big touchdown upside. He could be the red zone favorite. Like I said, we don't know yet. But at 7, I'm saying stay away at that price.
Yeah, that's 7's way too high. I think when I was doing the rankings, it was at first the early rankings, like I would move them up and then down and then up and then down, and this is all over the place. But the more I'd look at it, and you said that you just named a bunch of tight ends off, I don't even know if I'm going to have him in my top 12 in terms of tight end. I mean, to me, he's kind of like the fourth option in this offense. You got Eckler, Keenan Allen, and then Mike Williams, and then Hunter Henry. Like you say, we don't know, who Tyrod will lean on, or if Herbert comes in, maybe he leans on him. That could flip flop. But I'm just thinking that's the pecking order. He's almost like the fourth.
At best 3, because he could be more favorable than Mike Williams potentially. But sorry, he's not passing Eckler and
Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But yeah, those years, 2015 to 2017, when Tyrod was with Buffalo, I do remember Charles Clay because we're Dolphins fans. So
the Clay,
yeah, he was pretty good for us.
Wasn't Njoku?
I was pretty mad that he left to go to the Buffalo. But I remember those years that Clay was there, and I was like, oh man, I remember he was pretty good with Tyrod Taylor. So let me just see like what he did in those 3 years. He averaged 79 targets, 52 receptions, and 546 yards. A couple touchdowns here and there. So nothing crazy. So I was thinking, that doesn't sound too bad. Like 50 receptions, 500-something yards. But he finished between tight end 15 and tight end 20 all 3 of those years. So that was just gross, as Estancia would say. So I think I might have Hunter Henry at like 12, if that. But I don't think I'm taking a chance on him with just like the lack of upside and – like anything just said, he touched on all those guys. Those are all guys I'd rather have on, especially for the draft price. If he's going to go as tight end 7, then no. Definitely
yeah,
not.
I mean, I will say he is definitely more talented than Charles Clay is.
For sure.
So there is that factor to it, but I'm right with you on the ranking. I don't know if he's going to finish. I don't think he's going to go in my top 12.
When it comes down to fantasy, like it really is. It's the same thing with you're just evaluating value, and it's not that we're saying Hunter Henry's bad at his position. We're just saying that the value he's at, it's not worth what you're getting at that value.
Yeah, and
it's just adjusting whether there's a buy. It's literally, and as stupid as it sounds, it's buy low, sell high.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing in your draft. You're evaluating players whether or not they're going to be, they're at a low value or the higher value than what they're being evaluated at.
Yeah. There you go. Make it fucking smart.
Yo,
and like we say year to year, like this stuff changes. Like next year we could be like, oh dude, we could be all over Hunter Henry.
Like Herbert might come out towards the end and peppering him with targets.
Pepper him. They might let Mike. I don't know if Mike. Let's just say Mike Williams is in a contract here. I'm not sure. They let him go, and we're like, oh, Hunter Henry. We like the situation. He was peppered. They bring in a coordinator that changes the system that uses tight ends. So it changes year to year. But like we're saying, like Mike said, it's not the talent. It's just this year in particular, the value it's not worth that. It's almost like his best case scenario is tight end 7.
Yeah.
Like he'd have to score 7-8 touchdowns.
True. It's all circumstantial. Okay, let's move on to the Denver Broncos. We got Drew Locke.
With that stock.
With that huge stock. He's really getting into investing, day trading. He's been following Barstool Sports. Okay. I think the Broncos are going to surprise a lot of people this year. I think they're going to switch from a defensive team. They're going to be a little bit more offensive this year. Drew Locke had a little spurts last year. What do you guys think? Are you drafting Drew Locke, though?
No. I'm not personally.
He's one of my favorite, if you're going to matchup-based quarterbacks, you're going to draft 2 quarterbacks late.
Yeah.
You can draft someone and then, potentially, because he's going to go in those later rounds, 12th round or later potentially. So he's one of those guys where I kind of like him in the later rounds to match up or to pair him with another quarterback. They are pretty much switching. They got a new offensive coordinator, so it's Pat Shurmur now. So they're definitely going to run a lot more 11 personnel than they did last year. They're also going to spread the ball out a lot more. Obviously, that's why they go get Jerry Jeudy. They go get KJ Hamler. We'll touch on them in a second. But, those guys are going to be in the field a lot. And then you have a guy like Noah Fant who can catch the ball as well. And then Lindsey and Melvin Gordon are both capable pass-catching running backs. So it's not like once one's on the field, like it kind of limits the upside of the pass-catching from the running back. So he's going to have a plethora of weapons to really throw the ball around. I think he's like a sneaky, if I'm going to make a bold prediction, I think he throws for 4,500 yards. Like I don't know what it is, Mike. I'm kind of tied to you. Like I think
you're with me on it. I mean, dude,
I think so.
There was a
if
couple
Goff
games.
Can do it, I'm not saying he's Jared Goff, but if Goff can throw 4,600 yards back to back in that 11 personnel kind of scheme, I mean, he has the weapons. You know, he's just gotta get it done in a sense, I guess. But maybe that's
played the Titans week 1, then they played the Steelers week 2.
So it's
the
two
Bucks,
tough defenses to start
the
the year.
Bucks.
bold
3.
prediction.
I was like, do you want beer bet 4,000? Because I don't even think he gets to 4,000.
Oh, I'll beer bet 4,000.
All right,
Put it on the board.
He could probably throw 4,000 yards in week 4.
against Miami.
The Jets.
Oh yeah, I just picked
I'm
Miami.
just kidding. They got rid of Jamal Adams.
I mean, it's hard to judge him off of 5 games, so I don't want to go out and make a complete assessment, but I wasn't really too excited with what I saw from the first 5 games. I mean, last year he was pacing barely about 3,000 yards. I know he has more weapons and all that, but I do think this is still going to be a balanced offense. It's not going to be – how he gets to 4,500 yards is he's on a pass-heavy offense in the top – let's just say 8 in pass attempts.
Yeah.
That's where he gets there, which I don't even see them in the top 8. I see them more. They could even be outside the top 15 in pass attempts. And he's not a huge efficiency guy. He's not, his yards per game. He's not going to go out there. As last year, he wasn't throwing for like 250, 300 yards a game. Like he didn't. I don't even know if he really flashed a big game yet. Like I said, I think this is more. They paid Melvin Gordon. They still have I almost said Austin Eckler. I always confuse these two. Yeah. Phillip Lindsey. So for me, it's kind of a balanced team, best case scenario, and I think they could be more run heavy still, even with the weapons and the 11 personnel. So I just don't. Like I said, as a draftable quarterback and the upside, I'm not big on the upside. So, but you're taking him so late in these drafts. Like, what's Drew Locke going, Mike? Do you have the ADP up there?
Yeah, it's like 14, 15.
Yeah, he's going late.
It's literally like
so.
It's
I mean, if you
the
want,
last rounds.
If you want to take the shot, like fuck it. It's not like it's going to hurt your team.
He's a guy that you draft and then play the matchups maybe.
Yeah,
and then you might get lucky. He also might be a guy that you drop and he's on the waiver wire, but it's not a bad double quarterback second. That's the way we like to play fantasy. Having 2 quarterbacks.
I do think that this Broncos defense isn't going to be as good as people might think or think how they were in the past.
Used to. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I feel like maybe they could potentially throw a little bit more because they're trying to keep up in some shootouts potentially. But like I said, bold statement. Bold statement.
Yeah, huge claim.
I wonder if Andre would take we should text him if he'll take
That's what
over under the 4,000 yards. I think he'll take over because he likes the Broncos.
He likes them.
Yeah.
So it looks like I'm betting against all you guys. I was even going to give you 37, but I'll take 4.
I'll do 4. I'm not.
You gave me a 500-yard cushion. I'll take that.
I was going to say I would take over under 30.
I guess I gave you a 500-yard cushion on the flip side.
I have him kind of under 3,700 and like where I was looking at projecting him.
Okay.
But I'll take the 4 just in case.
Well, maybe we can make some bets on rushing yards because it got a little more complicated because big boy Melvin Gordon shows up in Denver and says, "Hey guys, I'm on the team now." Does Melvin Gordon screw it up for us? We thought we figured out this backfield. It was Phillip Lindsey. We were Royce Freeman. It was a whole thing. They had Devontae Booker. Yeah, Devontae Booker. It was a 3-man backfield for a while. We thought we figured it out. Now Melvin Gordon comes into play. Melvin Gordon, where do you see him? Because Phillip Lindsey seemed, like I've been saying.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because this is one of the tougher ones for me as well. I mean, Phillip Lindsey's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, so it's like, I don't know, why do you go out and get Melvin Gordon? But obviously there's some that has to mean something, you know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, though, I mean, it was a true running back by committee last year with Phillip Lindsey and Royce Freeman. So I'm assuming I'm going to just guess, I don't know, it's like an opinion, that it's going to be the same thing. I mean, 516 snaps for Lindsey last year, 514 for Freeman. So I'm thinking, Melvin Gordon will just slide right in there. But I don't know. This one is really tough. I mean, the touchdown upside, he's got the touchdown upside. 9 or more total touchdowns in 4 straight years after that rookie year where he had 0. So I think the touchdown upside is nice, and I do think this is going to be one of the more exciting offenses. It's just different because you can get Melvin Gordon's going in like the 3rd or 4th round, and I think Lindsey's going in like the 9th round, 8th round, something like that. So it's like, what do you feel more comfortable with? Are you just waiting for value on Lindsey, or because I can't imagine a scenario where Lindsey just is phased out of the offense.
No, and I think I personally, Melvin Gordon's just been an okay running back to me. Like minus the 1 year where he ran for 5.1 and all that, but I mean, you look at his. I know yards per carry isn't everything, but I mean 3.8, 3.9, 3.9, 3.5, which if those are Phillip Rivers' better offenses on the Charger, as we know so far. I'm not saying Drew Locke can't take the leap.
Yeah.
You know, you pointed out the upside, and like I agree that the upside's there in the offense. So I'll 100% agree with that. But if he struggles a little bit again in the second year, and the offensive line, they lost some pieces. I know that they lost. You know, Juwan James just retired or COVID quit or whatever it's called, or opted out. COVID quit. I mean, you know, if he's in a timeshare.
I like that term so much more than opting out. Why didn't we write that down before? That's so funny.
I mean, if he's in a timeshare and it is kind of a 50-50, like I said, I know they paid him, but I kind of honestly, if you wanted to like say who's going to be the more efficient back, I'm going to go Phillip Lindsey. As far as efficiency, I'm not talking workload.
Yeah.
But I think Phillip Lindsey is going to be the more efficient back. He's like I said, Melvin Gordon's kind of struggled as far as efficiency goes for years on end, minus one season. And this isn't the top like 15 rated offensive line. It's probably rated. I know I was looking at Pro Football Focus right now. They had it at 16, and they're saying they lost some pieces as well. So it could even be worse than 16 potentially. So I'm not touching him at his draft price. It's a little too risky for me. If that's a 60-40 split, and like I said, if it's on more of the side of where I'm believing, where it's not a top 15 scoring offense, how much red zone opportunity is he going to really have? So. Yeah. And then you said fourth round ADP, right?
Yeah.
That's I can't do it with timeshare back that is potentially, you know, in the bottom 15 in scoring offenses for me. I'm going to go probably a wide receiver there or a different running back.
Yeah, I mean, I do think this stays as like a full-blown running back by committee. I mean, it literally was like 50-50 last year. It was just crazy, though, because you think of Phillip Lindsey as being like this small little like scat back. But it was crazy. Royce Freeman actually out-targeted him, and he had more receptions and more receiving yards than Phillip Lindsey. So I think, you know, that's kind of the safe floor for Melvin Gordon. I mean, he's had 40 or more receptions 4 straight years, so I think he can get back to like 40 receptions at least. He's got the touchdown upside, but like I said, yeah, if there's one, I'm going to wait 4 rounds later, 5 rounds later, and I'll take Phillip Lindsey because to me it's a 1A, 1B scenario. You know, if I can get the other guy at a cheaper price tag, why wouldn't I do that? You know, he's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I think it was like the first undrafted rookie to have 1,000 yards, or first undrafted rookie to make a Pro Bowl. I mean you don't just do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And not be talented.
And then, like I said, and then he backed it up into the very next year. You know, what's jumping to Lindsey? He backed it up the very next year, another 1,000-yard season. But for whatever reason, Phillip Lindsey was ranked out of the top 35 in a lot of like the running back rankings I found, and I cannot understand it.
For this year?
Am I just missing
crazy.
something? Like Keyshawn Vaughn was ahead of him, Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just a couple, like Matt Breida, Jordan Howard, like just a couple names I remembered looking at the list, and that just kind of blew me away.
I think why that's happening is a lot of people don't think it's going to be closer to a split. Where there's people think they paid Melvin Gordon, they saw what Melvin Gordon did for fantasy, so they kind of correlate fantasy into. I think they're correlating too much of fantasy football into actual football. Yeah. Like, Melvin Gordon was a top 6 running back for fantasy, but it's like, yeah, because he was getting an insane amount of volume with the Chargers and was essentially the main back. You know, and Eckler was the secondary back for, you know, in that versus, like you said, Eckler was hands down the second running back. This could very easily be a 1A, 1B. It could also be, I mean, I just try and look at the upside. I mean, I think whether you even have Royce Freeman involved as well, we don't know what his role is going to be. I think he's still a decent running back. So if he takes 10% of those carries, that takes the floor off of Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsey. You know, and so it's like best case scenario, he pushes 65% of the snaps, maybe 70. But I mean, if he's more efficient, or if Eckler, Phillip Lindsey is more, dude, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me these two. If Phillip Lindsey is, I'm just gonna hibernate him into one player. Yeah. It's more efficient. That might not be close to 65-70%. It might be closer to 50-50 on a given week. Yeah, it's just, like I said, I go with Lindsey if I'm picking one of them.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. Just get better value with Lindsey there. I mean, we're talking about on these mock drafts how quickly the running back value just goes down. If you can snag a running back that could be even if it's split carries with them, if you can grab that running back in the 8th round, that's amazing, you know?
Yeah. And like Anthony was saying, Gordon's yards per carry, not very good. I mean, Eckler's career, it's only 2-year career, but...
Phillip Lindsey.
Yeah, Phillip Lindsey. That's
got
Eckler?
Him.
Oh, yeah. See, now you got me, dude. Yeah. Philip Lindsay's yards per carry, 5 yards per carry. So that's obviously better than 3.8, 3.9, or even 4.0, whatever. But so yeah, those. I mean, I don't know. I'm just taking shots on Lindsey, like in that price range where Melvin Gordon is. I mean, obviously, like I said, he has the touchdown upside. You know, could he get you 8, 9, 10 touchdowns? 100%, because he's been doing it the last couple of years. But I think there's some better players that I'd rather grab right there potentially. And then, like I said, we did a mock draft the other day, Mike, and I went pretty heavy on some players, and I didn't really have any running backs, but I ended up grabbing Philip Lindsay.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
James White, like in like the 8th, 7th, 8th round, and and I was stoked with it. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah, grab him long.
Great.
Felipe
Love it.
Lindsay.
All right, we can move on to
Giants.
sophomore year. Am I right? Is that right? Cortland Sutton.
Junior.
Junior year. Cortland Sutton. Dude, these NFL years all blend together. So Cortland Sutton, I like Cortland Sutton. I'm gonna target him in a decent amount of leagues because I'm kind of in the Broncos offense believer category. So I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm not mad at it.
I mean, I'm kind of right there with you, Mike. If I believe in Drew Locke, then I have to believe in his number one target. I mean, this guy's pretty much the clear-cut number one wide receiver. I mean, there's no more Manny Sanders. They go out and they get Judy. They go out and get KJ Hamler in the draft. But we always touch on it. Those guys, they got to learn the playbook. They got to get acclimated. There's no rookie camp. There's no preseason games right now. So it's going to be hard for them to just jump in right away and take a huge percentage of the passes. I mean, a 26% target share last year for Cortland Sutton. That was the 7th most in the NFL for wide receivers. I think that stays about the same. I can't imagine a scenario where that really dips down and drops. And the thing I like seeing here was that he performed with 3 different quarterbacks. I think it was Brandon Allen, Drew Locke, and Joe Flacco. So it wasn't like one guy was leaning on him and then all of a sudden like he wasn't doing good with the other guy. I mean, to get it done with 3 different quarterbacks, I mean, that's just got to speak volumes of something. And then 7 or more targets in 14 of the 16 games. That's the big target share percentage right there that I like. So I'm going to have him in my top 20 in terms of like wide receivers. He'll be like on that back end. He's not going to be super high, but he might be number 20.
I like it. Do you disagree? Do you disagree?
No, he's someone I'm actually like. I mean, I'm kind of struggling with.
So he's our guy.
No, I'm struggling with his upside. That's where I'm struggling with because it's like, yeah, I think he'll finish wide receiver
22.
Top wide receiver 20 or 19. I think it's an appropriate value for him, but with the addition of the Hamburglar, I guess KJ Hamler, yeah. Jerry Jeudy, these other receiving options. I mean, last year when you go to the target share and breaking down after Emmanuel Sanders was gone, I mean, he was kind of mainly seeing majority of the work. I mean, he had Tim Patrick got a few targets here and there, Deshaun Hamilton, but if these guys eat into that upside, 126 targets isn't the best as far as targets go. Yeah. So I'm trying to like say, I'm like, can he get to 130, 140? I'm like, I don't think he can get to 140.
I don't think so.
That's the problem with his as I guess 130, and if he hits even like 118, let's just say Jerry Jeudy comes out as a rookie and kind of is somewhat dominant in a sense for a rookie. he could take away some of that ceiling for Cortland Sutton, and then his game log with Drew Locke. Like I said, Drew. We don't know yet what we're gonna get, but if we don't get good Drew Locke, these are some of the games with him: 3.4, 7.9, 4.1, 5.2, and that's when he was just basically kind of the dominating target guy. And we don't know if that's going to be the case this year. So I am a little worried about his upside, and I am a little worried about the floor. I'm just bringing these points up because I want to make sure listeners hear this because it's these are something to kind of take note of.
For sure, yeah.
When you're looking into Cortland Sutton, so. I don't know where I'm going to rank him yet. Right now he's sitting at 20, but I could drop him a little bit lower in my personal rankings just because I don't see a true upside where you get into, I think just off ahead some of these guys lower like DJ Chark or Devontae Parker. They could push.
Chark. I love Devontae Parker.
I'm just thinking of the guys that are around him. These guys could probably push 130, 140, like I said, and then we don't. Even T.Y. Hilton could be a 140 guy. I know he's in that range, so it's like I might go with some of these other guys because I like the upside more potentially.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a dig on Sutton. It's just there's a little bit of unknown too with the offense.
I mean, the reason I don't know if he'll touch 125 targets. I think he actually finishes less than 125 targets this year. But he's one of those guys where he doesn't need a ton of targets. I mean, he's not a big PPR guy. He's one of those 16 yards per reception for his career. 14 end zone targets last year. That was tied 4th most in the NFL. So just a guy who, they're looking for him in the end zone. He has that touchdown upside, and he doesn't need a ton of catches. He's one of those guys where he can get you, maybe he only gets you 3 catches, but he'll get you 70 yards and a touchdown. And, I'll take that all day, every day. He's a good wide receiver, too. I wouldn't say he's a wide receiver 1, but he's a good wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I think you could have.
And especially in a standard format, like where standard formats, it comes more into like your total yardage and touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that's where he's going to, it doesn't matter if you get, 7 catches in a game for 76 yards or 3 for 76 yards. It's all the same shit in standard. Yeah. So, like you said, to the yard, it's a big playability. He doesn't need a lot. That's where I'd probably rank him a little bit higher in standard versus PPR formats.
I think having Judy and the Hamburglar, I think those guys will actually help him because it was kind of like him and nobody last year. So if they wanted to double him, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I would easily have just doubled him, and then I'm not worried about Tim Patrick and Deshaun, and Noah Fant was still a rookie. I wasn't worried about those guys. So I think having a guy like Judy, you have the speed on the outside like KJ Hamler, that could just help even open things up for him. So like maybe a little targets come down, but maybe he's more open now, or potential for the big play and stuff like that. But we could jump into
that being said, we can talk about rookie Jerry Jeudy coming to the Broncos. How does it make you feel, Jerry Jeudy? The name, JJ, JR.
JR.
Just kidding, JR.
He's a junior.
Junior.
Are you taking shots on Jerry Jeudy? I think Dre likes him. No.
Yeah, I mean, Judy's probably the best route runner coming out of this draft. I mean, the guy's super talented. I think going forward, if Drew Locke does pan out, I mean, Sutton's talented and Jerry Judy's pretty talented. We'll see what happens with the Hamburglar and Noah Fant. But, yeah, I do like Jerry Jeudy. He's one of these later round guys you're going to draft, obviously. You're not really drafting him to be a starter, but I think he's going to have a lot more value in, like, PPR leagues. He's probably going to line up in the slot a lot more. Like I said, they're going to run 11 personnel. So I'm guessing Sutton and the Hamburglar on the outside, and then you have Jeudy, man, in the slot. So, I mean, he's one of those, like I said, you're definitely drafting Jerry Jeudy. Maybe you're throwing him in here in bye weeks, or, something happens with some COVID things, and then you could throw him in there potentially. He's a good depth wide receiver for me. How do you feel about anything?
See, I don't know. I'm on the side that the Broncos, like I said, are more in the lower pass attempt type of offense.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like with a rookie, I do like him long term. I think he could actually actually think long term he could beat out Sutton as a 1.
So you say like dynasty, you're all about it.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Like for me, like this is me personally. When I kind of have a team slated to be more on the bottom half of pass attempts, like last year. I know it's last year, but last year they were the 24th rank pass to run ratio, and you could also make the case that with the addition of Melvin Gordon, that could stay the same or even be higher potentially, especially if their defense is playing decent and they are able to run the ball with a nice 1-2 punch. So that's just a case when there's a scenario like that. I don't necessarily like taking the 2 on that type of team personally. And like I said, he's a rookie. He's got to learn some stuff. The other guys that's going to be involved. So it's he could be the 3 option, because the running backs are probably going to get targeted more than him to start the year.
Yeah.
And he might even be the 4 to start the year potentially. Noah Fant having chemistry with him, and on a given week they could have a game plan where they're going out to use him. So to me, I think he's more of a guy I'm going to probably try and see if I can waiver wire pick up as chemistry develops and all that and see the offense. But I'll probably take some shots on some other guys in the round he's going. But dynasty-wise, like I said, he could be the number 1 on this team. He could overtake Sutton. He's that talented. So
yeah.
Like I said, redraft leagues. I feel like I'm talking bad about the Broncos, but like I do like the Broncos, but it's like
I mean, it's just
it's different in fantasy. It's not like
it's your football prediction. It's like that's what you're looking at, what their game scripts are going to be, and based off of that, you make your
because the problem is like
so,
yeah. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, but I'm just saying is that you're not bashing on them too hard.
Well, the problem is like you like. I've noticed like you'll just be like, oh, I like this offense. So some offenses have to be less efficient when it comes to passing or running in the volume and ratio. It's just the way the NFL works.
Yeah.
So it's like we can't sit here. I'm not saying us, but just I'm saying like as a whole, people can't just be like, oh, I love this offense, and everyone's going to be 700 run plays and 700 pass plays a week. It's like that's just not how the NFL is going to work. It's just statistics and analytics.
Someone has to be the shitty team.
Yeah, or not even the shitty team. It's just like the lower passing. There's going to be 15 teams that fall outside of the top 15 in pass attempts. There's going to be, and the vice versa. That is just how the numbers work. So, like I said, I see them more on the rushing side of the the pendulum. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant towards some of the pass catchers and their upside.
Yeah.
Now I could be wrong on that 100%. They could switch and just Drew Lock say, "Hey, we got you these weapons. Go out there, sling that thing, and just we want you to throw the ball 600 times." Then that changes the whole scenario. But that's not necessarily what I'm personally predicting. And like I said, I could be wrong on that because I'm not no genius or scientist. But this is where when I look at the team breakdowns, I see them lower on the rush to pass ratio. Analytical speaking, I just got scientific.
Yeah, I feel you. Well,
what the fuck is this guy talking about over here? What the fuck's a pass to rush?
What do you guys think about? We just threw him in here, but KJ Hamler, I'm gonna stay away actually, and I'm not gonna touch him. But we just threw him on.
I just like the name that I made up for him.
Hamburglar.
The Hamburglar.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Like a rookie, and I mean
it's like the second rookie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On the team.
He's probably like fourth in the pecking order. He'll have some big games. He kind of reminds me of like a Nicole Hardman. Like he's a guy who has, he can take one target to the house for a touchdown. And I'm sure he's going to have games like that where he gets, one target, 50 yards and a touchdown.
For a touchdown.
But just too inconsistent, especially going forward in Dynasty, obviously. If Dre was here, he could touch on it. A guy you're definitely drafting in your Dynasty leagues.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the wide receiver position last year for the Broncos, outside of Sutton, there was like 5 games of over 6 targets to a wide receiver. So, I mean, if I'm going to gamble on one, it's going to be Judy because I'm going to take the chance on that. I'm not going to take the chance on a third when his target share was pretty dominant last year. And they bring in another pass-catching running back in Melvin Gordon who could change that piece of the pie a little bit more to the running back position.
All right.
Piece of the pie. We gotta give me a piece of the pie drop. Hey, piece of the pie.
Hey. Piece of the pie. Okay, we can move on to someone who I've learned to like. Dre introduced us to this name, Noah Fant. We said Noah can't all last year, and he kind of surprised us. What did he finish as? Tight end? I don't know.
I think he
16.
16
because
you
we
guys made a bet
top
of 15. Yeah.
Nice.
It's funny. Me and Dre have done we had the year before it was like Kenyon Drake like top whatever, and it's like we've both missed them by like one spot. So it's like the other person's been right by one spot.
That's funny.
Each year.
Yeah.
Well, Noah Fant, I just looked up his ADP real quick, and it says 11th round. I don't know if that's accurate, but in that spot, I love it. Once again, hammering in again. We always talk about tight ends actually being targeted by like inexperienced quarterbacks in a larger way. So I like him with Drew Lock there. I think the offense is going to be pretty, like I've been saying, they're going to be up there in my opinion. So yeah, I love me some Noah Fant. He's one of these tight ends I'm definitely targeting in a decent amount of leagues.
I think I like some other guys better there. I'm not saying I don't like. I like I've actually kind of came around on Gesicki more just with the Dolphins losing and reading they're going to spread out the offense. I'd probably even take Jonnu Smith. That's my, I'm kind of personally big on him.
Guy, yeah.
I do like Jonnu Smith though.
Who's the? I always mix up the Falcons.
Hayden Hurst.
I'd rather take Hayden Hurst. So it's like there's tight ends in that spot. I'd rather take. Not to bash on Noah Fant. Like I said, he's a talented tight end. The worrisome part about it is, the 5-game stretch with Drew Lock, the targets were 3, 4, 3, 2, 2, and you potentially add in some more weapons. So that's a little bit scary for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have the targets written down right here. I was going to say that. Yeah. I think I'm still going to call him Noah Can't. I think, the guy's obviously talented. He went in the first round of the draft. I think he's going to have some boom games. But I think he's going to have a lot of bust games. Like Anthony just said, the targets with Drew Lock were not impressive. And now you just add more mouths to eat the piece of the pie. And, that's just, I think it's Cortland Sutton. Jerry Judy's obviously, pretty talented. He's going to get his. But I'm not sure how sold I am on Noah Fant. Like I said, talented guy. But, I'm definitely taking Hayden Hurst. Anthony's turned me on to Jonnu Smith. I think he's going to be, a stud this year. He's going way later than that. And then you got like guys like
Gesicki in that round. Higbee. Yeah. I'd even rather take the shot on Higbee.
I'll take Hayden Hurst. Not Hayden Hurst. Jared Cook for the touchdown upside.
Yeah.
I'll probably be, as I say, fading Noah Can't.
And I think it's Noah Can't yet because we're not saying he's not going to be a good long-term prospect and be a top, let's say 5'8" tight end.
Yeah.
Because he's, he is talented. You saw him just break some big runs and all.
For sure, yeah.
Or take, passes and turn them into big plays. So it's just, like I said, it's Noah Can't yet.
Talented in real life in fantasy football for me, not yet.
Dude, fantasy football's separate, bro.
All right.
He's in the queue. He's in the queue.
He's in the queue.
Yeah.
But he's not in your queue because you're not drafting him. He's not in your draft queue. Okay, let's move on to Sid from Toy Story. Derek Carr. We're going to talk about the Oakland Raiders, baby.
The Las Vegas.
Oh, excuse me, the Las Vegas Raiders. They're not technically here since there's not even going to be fans. We got this brand new stadium here, and we can't even go in it.
Dude, we're going to sneak into the stadium and do live shows.
Just
everybody,
at like
we're
fucking
here at the
Hatfield.
Las Vegas Raiders Stadium.
We're live from the Las Vegas.
Here comes Chucky.
I know, that's crazy. I wonder how much money they're going to lose out on that, because it costs like a couple billion to build, and now it's like you think they wanted to like try to recuperate as much as they can right away, and now you're like just one whole year you're not going to get anything.
They're like, dude, this next year is going to be a sick. We're going to throw conventions in here. We're going to throw
Concerts. They have concerts
do
going on, right?
concerts there. We're going to do they're going to have all these things, because we don't really have that many like big. They have like the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace. And then they have the T-Mobile Arena, which is pretty big, but it's very like stacked on top of each other. But the stadium's probably the biggest arena that we have out here, besides like the where they have EDC at the Speedway. So yeah, they definitely missed out on some money. Centralized area, but So Derek Carr, are you thinking Marcus Mariota is going to take over or what?
Derek, go ahead.
Oh my bad. I'll just put here. I keep kind of like when I said Sam Darnold, C. Adam Gase. I put Derek Carr, ... C. Trash can. That's what he is. He's trash.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Derek Carr.
I'm not sold on Derek Carr, but I will bring up he has some appeal.
Would you feel comfortable putting him in your lineup though?
Well, I was going to say as a streaming option.
Yeah.
Last year he threw for 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, which isn't the greatest numbers, but they did add more weapons.
For sure.
They gave him, in a 70% completion percentage. We have seen Derek Carr throw 28 touchdowns and 32 touchdowns in a year, so it's not like he's not capable in the NFL of doing that. He only threw the ball 513 times last year. So, if that goes up to 550, 560, I could see him being a usable streaming type of quarterback, potentially. 2 quarterback leagues, I'm not mad at it. Like I said, it's hard to assume that he gets worse with them adding weapons.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same offense. It's the same coach. It's the same coaching system. Nothing's changing. They're just going to be using these pieces to help him out even more. So, like I said, I'm looking at the numbers and I'm trying to how did things get worse? The offensive line just blows up and they can't keep him upright. But I think Josh Jacobs is a talented running back, so I think he does enough to kind of keep the offense moving. So, I hate to say it, but I think he could throw for roughly 44 and 25 to 28 touchdowns as his upside, given the talent that he just took in to help out. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if he does hit that upside, he's a usable fantasy piece on a week. Ruggs is going to help with just the explosion. Just help open the offense up, help open the underneath for some of these guys. And maybe Ruggs himself scores 4 or 5, deep touchdowns this year. So I think there is some streamer appeal to him. I'm not just going to write him off as just a not usable piece.
Yeah. It's just tough for me because he's not even the best quarterback on his team. I know Mayock, when he was, just one of those, the ESPN or the NFL Network guys, that year that it was Mariota and Jameis Winston, he was actually saying that he thought Mariota was the better quarterback of the two. I know things haven't panned out in Tennessee for Mariota. That's why he's in Oakland now, or he's in Las Vegas now with the Raiders. But maybe what goes around comes around. Tannehill wasn't getting it done in Miami, goes to Tennessee, kind of emerges. We always knew he was talented. I still think Mariota's pretty talented, so maybe a change of scenery can kind of really help him, switch things around. I don't know. You want to do like a friendly beer bet between
the Broncos and Raiders?
I was like, who are you going to say?
I was about to
say Drew Locke or Derek Carr. Total yardage, as long as he plays 16.
I was going to say just a better QB finish.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah,
fantasy?
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, like who finishes higher?
I want in on this bet, degenerate bet.
Yeah.
Right, so me and Mike.
As long as he plays 16, or
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's got to play 16, obviously.
All right.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say maybe like average it out if we have to.
Or you could average it out.
I
will say
we'll say you have to have all.
You can do average it out. Fuck it, I ain't scared, bro. Let's fucking go.
All right.
Let's roll. Because by this time next year, Mike will be able to drink, so we can make him chug a beer.
Oh,
right? Close to? Yeah, after we're done with our fantasy season, you'll be able to drink.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm going to make you butt chug.
Kind of. Well, no. No, not really. I mean, because January 10th, I can have a drink again.
See, well, fantasy will be just about over, and then it's coming, baby. I will say, as far as like the pass catchers go, if I'm an owner of the Waller or the Waller, any of these guys, I don't want Mariota to come in. Because it's not going to be the same style of offense. It's not going to be, career high of 3,400 yards. The pass attempts are he rushes the ball, so it takes away from the pass attempts. A career high of 450 pass attempts. So if I own Waller and I hear that Mariota's going to start, I might trade Waller at that point.
Could be just the offense there. I could be wrong on that, but obviously the Titans, they like to run the ball, ground and pound, and even Tannehill wasn't throwing the ball a ton, so maybe, change the scenery, like I said, for Mariota. I just see a scenario where Mariota's just better than Derek Carr. So, but we haven't seen Mariota get it done and really be able to support, a tight end or receiver really efficiently. So, yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
Him coming in will definitely bring up some question marks and whether, if that'll affect Ruggs and Darren Waller and stuff like that. I think the one guy that's just pretty much locked in, I think you agree, perfect segue, is Josh Jacobs. I mean, it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. I think Josh Jacobs is primed to have like a top 12 year in terms of running back.
I think he legit has lead the league in rushing attempt upside.
Yeah.
Like he was on pace for, he missed he had like a broken shoulder or something.
Yeah, he missed 3 games.
He missed 3 games and he had 250 other numbers.
242.
242. So he was approaching like a 300-ish rush attempt type of running back.
He only played 55% of the snaps too.
Yeah.
So.
And that's like I said, I think he low key has upside of leading the league in carries. It wouldn't surprise me if he got a 320 type of workload this year.
I mean, 262 total touches. That was 13th most for running backs. Like I said, he only played 55% snap share. I mean, I realistically could see that number jumping up to, if he plays a full 16, I could see that number pushing the 70% area, give or take. And then it's just impressive. I mean, 69 forced missed tackles when running the football. That was most among all running backs, and he missed 3 games. So, I mean, what is this? Tied 3rd most in terms of breakaway runs. Those are runs of 15 or more yards. So, I mean, the guy's just elusive, and I don't know. I think top 12, like you said, he could push the 300 plus attempts.
Yeah, and I mean, if he's able to get to 40 receptions, which they say they want to use him more, and he was good in college and as a receiving back. So it's, that's the tough part I'm having is like because they bring in these other pieces that do multiple things where it's like, and they bring back Jalen Richard, right? No, who's it back there?
I think they still have Jalen Richard.
The Jalen Richard, then I was thinking of the backup. He's still there, so it's like if you were telling me today Josh Jacobs is getting 40 receptions, he's probably in my top. I'll take him over Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
put it that way. If I knew he was getting 40 receptions, I'll take him over Derrick Henry.
I mean, I just love the upside of this kid right here. I mean, it was his rookie year, and he did what he did. I mean, he finished as RB21 in PPR, RB18.5 point PPR, but that's like his floor. I can only imagine it's going to go up. I just can't imagine a scenario, barring injury, or in COVID, the COVID cut or whatever he said. I can't imagine COVID quit, where he doesn't finish as a top 12 running back. I mean, would you feel comfortable taking him like in the back end of the first round, or are you kind of leaning more like second round?
No, if I have that back end, I'm going like Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake.
Yeah,
all day.
Ooh, I just got fucking moist.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so wet over here. Sorry.
Nah, I love Josh Jacobs. Send
it in.
Fuck it, send it in.
Do you have him over the CEH? Or who would you take, him or CEH? Because that's like a new
that's tough.
That's like a new type of question, or would that be format dependent on you?
I would go Jacobs.
I think I'm going Clyde Edwards just because the offense is so good, and if Derek Carr, I'm not big on him, and then if Mariota just struggle for some whatever reason, at least I know the Chiefs' offense is always going to be in the red zone. They're always going to have those scoring opportunities, but that doesn't discredit Josh Jacobs. Like I said, he's probably going to be in my top 10. Like rankings, at least top 12.
Yeah, I think standard I'd go Jacobs still. The half PPR and full PPR, I might lean towards Helaire. I don't know. Ask me in a couple weeks.
There's going to be a scenario where
I just made up the question.
You can get both those guys. There's going to be a team out there that they have both of those guys.
Yeah,
and that you're going to be fucking psyched to have those.
I mean,
running backs.
I'm curious to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Sorry to get off but in real drafts, because there's gonna be some people who are fucking hyped for him.
Yeah.
Like I heard someone doing a draft where like he went like 4th or 3rd, or I saw it in, like on our fantasy football feed, like on our Instagram page, at AUG Fantasy Football _. I think I fucked that up, but
yeah, AV.
But yeah, he went like I think it was like 4th overall. I was like, damn,
that's kind of high.
Yeah, and you're gonna have those fans who are like, oh, dude, the fucking Chiefs, the running back, and it's like he's gonna probably go in some leagues really, really high. But yeah, that was anyways. Josh Jacobs, he good.
We can go on to you said that Bryan Edwards could be starting.
Yeah, I actually got an alert on Sleeper Bot. I know if Andre was here, he would. Yeah, I know. If Andre was here, this is his guy. This is his boy, Bryan Edwards from South Carolina. I mean, he is talented. I mean, he's kind of like a big body guy, strong hands. I mean, obviously they need wide receivers because they had nobody last year. I mean, Hunter Renfro's there. He's just kind of a slot guy. Tyrod Williams is, I mean, I don't know. He got banged up towards middle of the season and whatnot. But obviously receiver was a big thing for them because they go out and they get Bryan Edwards. They go get Henry Ruggs. They go get Lynn Bowden. We're going to touch on all those guys. I mean, I'm not sure how much value in redraft leagues Bryan Edwards will have, but in dynasty drafts, you're obviously definitely going out and getting this guy because, potentially going forward, it could be Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards for the next couple of years. I wish Dre was here because this is like his guy. He would have went like 10 minutes on him.
We can 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's like I know we were talking about Waller and how you were like the receivers didn't have over 70 receptions or targets last year. I'm like, it could be a situation where none of them have over 70 to 80 targets again.
Yeah.
But there's multiple receivers getting targets just due to like the style, the way these guys play. Hunter Renfrow isn't going away. You're still good. I mean, last year Derek Carr, like I pointed out, only threw the ball 515 times. If Mariota comes in, that's even lower than the 515 times on normal. And let's just say the offense runs very similar and it's about low 500s. That's more of a run-heavy offense in general than pass-heavy. So, when you have the running back position, taking, a decent chunk of the targets in total, and then you have, Darren Waller and the tight ends, and then you have 4 or 5 receivers I don't think anyone's a pure one as of right now, so that makes it hard for me to trust anyone.
Yeah.
I don't mind taking shots on some of these players because, maybe someone develops or just comes out in balls and is just like, kind of, maybe someone becomes a Terry McLaurin this year, one of these guys, I'm saying, just as far as production-wise. So I don't mind taking the shots, but I just don't know who to really pick.
Yeah. With that being said, what about Henry Ruggs? You taking a shot on Henry Ruggs?
Best ball.
That's probably, yeah. I don't even know because, like, at the end of the day, it's all about the quarterback. I feel like Derek Carr is captain check down, and Ruggs is a guy who's stretching the field, and I just can't remember the last time I've seen Derek Carr throw the ball deep. And I mean, I know you're saying the completion percentage was good, but I feel like that's because he's like the dink and dunk king.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to have any shares of Ruggs.
He throws it deep right here.
Yeah.
I remember a time where he threw it deep.
Yeah.
Hey, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Literally.
I'm probably not going to have any shares of Ruggs in the redraft leagues. But, I mean, like I said, best ball, yeah. But in Dynasty, he's, like as Dre would say, he's a first-round pick in Dynasty drafts.
Yeah. I mean, because they could realistically be drafting a new quarterback next year if things go wrong for the Raiders this year. I think they got some sneaky playoff potential, though. I mean, they were, 8-8 last year? 7-9?
I don't remember.
Mike, what were the Raiders? Look it up. Get on that shit.
Yes, sir.
All right, what about you want to jump to Lynn Bowden real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I mean, if there is one of the rookies that I probably will actually take a shot on, it's probably Lynn Bowden, just because I mean he's a guy who can play receiver, he can play running back, and he can play quarterback. I think Mike, we were talking about off air where they were thinking about doing some like Wildcat style offenses with him. So I mean, he's one of those guys where you could potentially have him as your flex guy because they're utilizing him in so many different ways. Definitely, like I said, a guy in Dynasty you're gonna want to go get. But yeah, it's tough. Like you said, I have it written right here. Like the last 3 years, no wide receiver has had over 750 yards, and I think that's a scenario like that potentially could happen again. You're not going to see a ton of yards from these guys. I think.
Yeah, like you said, but you get the dual value with him, where you can maybe he is seeing 4 to 5 rush attempts, which isn't a lot, but then he's seeing 4 to 5 targets, which isn't a lot, but it just adds up. And they're using him in the Wildcat and the red zone and stuff like that. And then
they hit you with the passing touchdown.
Yeah, and he ends up being like a useful fantasy piece. So yeah, I like that.
He's like an intriguing flex guy, especially if you're in like multiple flex leagues. I think he's a guy where you're like, yeah, like you could throw him out there.
Yeah.
Raiders finished 7-9. If you guys want.
Yeah.
7.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, they got some interesting playoff appeal potentially. Maybe that's just being a little homer.
These are all homer picks now.
We've been kind of like a fan of all these teams for some reason. This is a kind of a hard division. Actually,
AFC
not.
West.
I'm just kidding. I don't know why
the Chiefs are gonna basically. I don't know.
They're gonna
lose this year.
They're gonna pull the Patriots for the next like 10 years.
If you play 17 games or week 17 and you have Patrick Mahomes, you won't be using him because they'll have a bye.
For sure.
All right, what do we got?
All right, we're gonna move, and we got Darren Waller.
Wow.
Tight end, Darren Walrus.
Waller the ball. So when we first did the early tight end rankings, I was lower on Waller. I know Dre likes Waller a lot. I think we made the beer bet under 70 receptions. I mean, he had, I can't remember how many he had, 90 something last year. Right?
I'll pull it up for you,
93.
baby. I got you, girl.
But one thing I've seen is for whatever reason, I just said Derek Carr is the check down king. I know they haven't really had any receivers there. 3 straight years where no receiver has topped 750 yards. I think the last ones to get 1,000 were Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree. That was 4 years ago. But 3 straight years, the receivers have done nothing over there. Like I said, that's why they go out in the draft and they address it. But 3 straight years, the tight end has had 85 or more targets. And in the last 3 years, the tight end, it was Jared Cook twice and then Darren Waller last year. The tight end has led the team in receiving for 3 straight years. I'm kind of flipping the train on Darren Waller. I'm kind of on the positive side now. I might actually lose that beer bet with Andre.
And I was like, I'm going towards the other side.
I mean, it's just tough. I mean, I would assume that getting a guy like Ruggs is only going to help Darren Waller. You get a guy like Lynn Bowden, who's he's a football player, he's a playmaker, so you have to account for him on the defensive side. Just watching where he goes. So I think this offense could be a little bit better, and actually could probably potentially open up things for Waller. And if Derek Carr is the captain check down guy, like I say he is, I think that Waller, maybe he doesn't put up 170 targets like he did last year, but like I said, 85 or more targets 3 straight years in this offense. So if that's the floor, 85 targets, I mean, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean he's an athletic tight end too. Like there was a lot of plays where he took like his yards after catch was like he was made some explosive plays. Like you said, Ruggs could take the top off the defense, and then captain check down's like psych.
Yeah.
It pitches it to Darren Waller. He runs for another 15, 20 yards. So, yeah, like I said, the tight end position has always seen about 80 targets. Like I said, too, I was like, I think there could be another year where a receiver doesn't see over 80 targets again.
Yeah.
I think Darren Waller is basically appropriately valued where he's at in ADP. And, if you want to take him, I think you're getting a solid tight end right there.
Yeah. I think I had him outside of the top 5. I think I'm going to have to throw him back in the top 5. I just don't think. I mean, looking at those numbers where they said the tight end has led the team 3 straight years, it's probably going to be 4 straight years where the tight end leads the team in receiving yards.
Yeah, Darren Waller. We like him over here.
He's a baller. He convinced me.
He convinced you. I was just looking at. He didn't really who do you have to throw to? Was that Jordy Nelson there last year?
2 years before, it was Jordy Nelson
and then they had Martavis Bryant. They were supposed to have Antonio Brown last year, but that didn't work out. And then, you lose Amari Cooper the year before. I don't know.
Yeah, they haven't had anybody since Crabtree and Amari Cooper that 1 year. And they both had 1,000 yards that year, and they both had 130 targets each.
And that was
year.
That was the year.
They had no tight end that year.
And that was the year when Derek Carr, when they went to playoffs, and then Derek Carr broke his leg or something.
Yeah.
Or foot.
I mean, the year after Michael Crabtree and Cooper still had basically 100 each. And Jared Cook still at 86.
Yeah.
That year.
So
interesting.
I think he's got a safe floor. He's one of those guys where I think, we're talking about kind of Kelsey, how, where you set it, forget it, and you're not really worried about it. I don't think he's going to cost you any games, because I think he'll have a safe floor, especially in PPR leagues. You know?
And you got to assume with someone as athletic as him and as big as he is, I spoke slowly so I could get it out, motherfuckers. You got to assume the 3 touchdowns is a fluke if he sees 100 targets again.
Yeah.
So, sure. I watched 2 plays where he got shoestring tackled. Jesus, woman. Shoestring tackled at the couple yard line. So, I mean, if he gets another 100 targets, he's probably going to score more than 3 times next year. Maybe 5 to 8 is more realistic.
Yeah.
Did you look up? He got 90 receptions last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I looked it up, but I forgot to
No, you good.
Dude, we're like, I can hear us both clicking. Click.
Yeah.
Click.
Oh, you can hear mine?
Well, I can hear it, like, not in the headphones.
Oh.
Wait, no, actually in the headphones I can hear it.
I forgot you're doing headphones. All right. Well, that's all we got, huh?
Yeah, dude, I made it. 20 hour and 25. We did.
No, actually, I took 11 minutes to press it. I forgot to press the stopwatch, so
Son of a bitch.
it's an
Lies
hour
to me.
and 38 minutes. So, but anyways, this has been the
I don't believe
AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 35. We just broke down the AFC West. We broke down the Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers for you. You just listened to it, and we appreciate you for that.
Now you're better because
That's
Now
That's
you're
like
ready
you-
for your fantasy football season. Before you leave us, go ahead and give us a rating and review on the Apple Podcasts app. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like this video if you're watching on YouTube. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and you reach out to us if you need any help with anything fantasy related. We got your back. All right. Also, yeah, that's all I got for you. Thanks for listening. We'll continue. We just have 2 more divisions to do. We got the AFC South and the AFC North, where the Steelers live.
North.
To
Is
the
that we're saving the
north.
best for
To the
last?
north.
Was that your plan?
Well, we were just talking about there's like a lot of like fantasy relevant players in that division. Kinda, I think. I don't know.
I feel like Dre has a lot of guys he likes in that division, so we got to make sure he's here.
Yeah. I mean, the Browns, as shitty as the Browns are, they are stacked with offensive players. You know, Odell,
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt,
Yeah.
Nick
Yeah.
Chubb,
Montel.
Jarvis Landry, and Njoku. All right. But yeah, thanks again. Thanks for listening. We're out.
Oh, dude, Kenny G.
Big bye.
Kenny G.
What?
Oh.